Hey everybody, another video here for you today, and I thought we should go down to Saqqara and take a look, and if I sound a little stuffed up, I am. I'm doing this in the morning, and even though it's 100 degrees out, I'm a little stuffed up, but this uncovered pyramid alignment between these uncovered pyramids that the Egyptologists don't want you to see, and Abu Rawash and the Great Pyramids, I thought we should go down to Saqqara, because there's one other pyramid that I know that they call unfinished. And this is the so-called buried pyramid of Semhemket. Now, he comes right after Djoser, and there is just high confusion to this guy's original name, or if he's actually somebody in the family of Djoser that has a Djoser name, and the attribution of this pyramid is really the flimsiest, really, of all the pyramids I've seen, basically. But this remains buried to this day, and I believe that is for a specific reason, but I could be wrong. But funny, all these buried pyramids and the pyramids that the Egyptologists don't want you to see all appear similar, and they're all aligned. Now, when I started reading about this is a pyramid that I only knew by name, and I knew that some people called it unfinished. When I read about this might be one of the more incredible sites that really I was unfamiliar with. And let me just read. This is Tour Egypt, and I really like this website, though some of the things they say are obviously taken from the Egyptologist viewpoint, but these are always informative. And of course, I will leave the link below. It says, almost everything we know about Semhemket, powerful in body, we know because of his unfinished buried pyramid at Saqqara, and it seems to give us little facts about his life. The only evidence outside of this tomb, and it's not a tomb, of this tomb is a scene depicted at Wadi Maghara in the Sinai, which bears his name. It is a military scene classical that it probably shows Semhemket with his raised mace about to smite his desert enemies. It says this relief actually shows a procession of Semhemkets. In front of the smiting king who is wearing the white crown is a second depiction of the king wearing a red crown, and in front of him another of Semhemket back in the white crown. And here, I guess this was found in the Sinai, and this is no surprise. The striding pharaoh with the arm raised, the hand extended out in front. Here he is carrying whatever this is. Sometimes it's depicted as a bow. But this is clearly, just as most pharaohs are depicted in famous scenes, he is in the perfect pose of the constellation of Orion. And I might make a further video on this subject, just showing all the pharaohs' depictions and then overlaying the stars of Orion and just letting the people make up their minds, because that seems to be something that people don't talk about in these similar depictions of all the pharaohs, striding, arm raised, hand extended. That's right. It says, however, we are not really sure of much about this king. According to the Turin Kings list, Djoser's immediate successor was identified by his personal name Djoser T, and ruled for only 6 years. It now seems that most Egyptologists believe that Djoser T and Semhemket were one and the same person, though some might still argue otherwise. His reign would have been from about 2649 BC until 2643 BC, and really, they are just guessing. Now here is an overview on this website, and this is an earlier pic of Semhemket's pyramid, they call it. But this is kind of in a rectangular form, and there is a huge descending shaft in the middle of this pyramid. So this is pretty much identical, you could say, to the pyramid up at Zayat al-Aryan that they covered up in trash in the military zone. And it says this, the pyramid was built upon an uneven rock surface, so the builders were forced to level the terrain, building large terraces, of which some were more than 10 meters high. Why the king chose this site for his pyramid is a bit of a mystery, because that obviously would have taken a lot more work, though there are some nearby royal tombs from the Second Dynasty that may have lured him there. Now let me just comment on that. I think that is ridiculous, but let's go up to this first sentence. The pyramid was built upon an uneven rock surface, so the builders were forced to level the terrain. Now that is the same at that strange pyramid up at Abu Rawash that the town is encroached upon. Why they built what people say is a pyramid on a slant cut into the rock, that is just a huge mystery. And remember that pyramid I talked about a couple days ago at Giza that's cut into the rock? Well, this is built at an uneven rock location, and then they had to see the facing stones are perfectly horizontal, but this original structure is cut at a slant. These structures are all similar. Now it says why the king chose this site for his pyramid is a bit of a mystery, though there are some nearby royal tombs from the Second Dynasty that may have lured him there. Well, that is pretty ridiculous. And here is an overview of Saqqara, a massive, very, very ancient necropolis with things that we really don't know even what they are. Millions of bird and animal mummies buried under here. The Serapeum, which really was cut right into the earth, just like these pyramids, that is below the earth. But the reason why this is a sacred necropolis is because very, very ancient structures sat here. And when these early Egyptians came along, they considered the site sacred because of what was already here. And this appears to be the oldest, most mysterious pyramid. The fact that that says that maybe a second or third dynasty pharaoh built here because there was already a necropolis here. No, they have that totally flipped around. Now here is a side view and a theory of what this maybe was intended for, because they call this an unfinished pyramid. The massive, long, from the north descending shaft, that perfectly matches, except for what's down at the very bottom here, but that long descending shaft. Everything about it matches the pyramid up at El Zarian and a couple of the other unfinished pyramids. But the fact that they say this is how it was intended to look, a massive step pyramid that I think would have been bigger than Djoser's and like this, that's what they say this was intended for. Well, that doesn't fly. There was a wall built around this. So if you're building a wall around this, is it unfinished if you're still carrying stones in here to finish a pyramid? That seemed to make no sense. And here is part. There hasn't been much excavation. There was some done a long time ago. But here is a pick leading down beneath the surface of the earth in this area. And you notice these are blocks. And then you notice you go down here, and it's cut right into the earth. And here is a pic of the burial chamber. And that looks old. That looks very ancient. That looks like what is beneath the Serapeum. That's just, in my mind's eye, that's what that reminds me of. And that just looks very, very weird. And this is an excellent website, and I will leave it below. And it just has a little bit more in a pic, I guess, of this buried pyramid. It says, the mortuary complex might have been designed by Imhotep, the architect of Djoser. It had been left unfinished, and the ruins were discovered by Zahi Gonaim in 1951. The enclosure wall, originally of dimensions 185 meters by 262 meters, and extended later so that it achieved the dimensions of Djoser's mortuary complex of total 7 steps planned, and only the lowest one had been completed. Well, isn't that strange? But it seems like everything else about this pyramid seems to be a completed full complex. It says, below the pyramid there is an 80-meter long corridor with a 32-meter deep funerary chamber at its end. At the moment of discovery, sarcophagus was sealed but empty. From the corridor runs a passage to a gallery with 132 chambers. At the bottom of one of the shafts running from the funerary corridor, there was a foundation deposit, gold armlets, and box for lip paint. Mastaba, localized south of the pyramid, comprises so-called south tomb with the burial of a child, and I believe that child was a 2-year-old child. And this was found at this place, and this is an ivory plaque or plate, I think they call it, and the name of Jezerti, maybe the son of Djoser. But this is all very confusing, and some Egyptologists can't even identify the king who was associated with this, really. So this is just a big mystery. This is a covered-up pyramid, and this is what it looks like. It has 132 burial chambers going around the north side of it, all the way around. That just hints that it looks just like the Serapeum, mysterious Serapeum with all these burial chambers. Would this place be unfinished if it had 132 what they call apartments carved perfectly around the north side of it and a wall around it enclosing it? Is this unfinished, or is this just a pyramid they really don't want the information coming out? But I find this absolutely fascinating. This is an unfinished pyramid that beneath it appears to have 132, and there's some significance to that, but they call them 132 magazines. That's an incredible subsurface structure down there. Now here's a 3D look, and this is what is buried here. You notice just off to the west is the great enclosure, this massive structure longer than 5 football fields, I think, that really there is no answer for its purpose. I think we're looking at a different time period, and this structure and the great enclosure are part of it. Now, I already knew what I would find doing the alignment here, and there is one other thing that I'm going to mention at the end of this video that I think is highly interesting. But these pyramids, there is one at Zayat al-Aryan that I showed you, and then further south at Abu Sir, I showed you that pyramid is aligned, and then all the way down at Saqqara, and these pyramids seem very unrelated. I just dropped it right in the middle of this complex, and there is some dispute on where I should put this alignment, but I moved it to different points of the pyramid, and the alignment really isn't affected that much, just a tiny bit up at Giza. Well, let's just travel north here. Now, this line, if you connect it eventually with the pyramid of Djedefre, goes right over this structure. And I put a pin placement on this a long time ago, just because I don't know what it is. So, if people are wondering, I'm sure I will get comments on that. But going further up here, doesn't pass over anything. And this is the Zayat al-Aryan area. And there is that layer pyramid that this whole thing was aligned to. And we keep on going up here, and we go to Giza. And this is where these lines pass. The pyramids fall right in between these lines, and the pyramid, the middle pyramid, it goes right over the top of it pretty much. And putting the placement on different areas, well, it affected the alignment just a tiny bit up here, but not much. And I saw comments, other people had did this, and they noticed it went right over the top of this, so other people are catching on and doing their own alignments, and that's what I really like. This is just inspiring further research, because there is a story here, and this might just be beyond me, because I have no idea what's going on. In my Great Pyramid video coming up, I was going to try to put like a conclusion to all this, but that's totally shot now, and I have to rework the whole thing. But certain things are becoming apparent to me, and I'll talk about that at the end. Just a possibility. But as you see here, this line goes up to Abu Rawash, and I just laid these right on the pyramid of Djedefre, the uncovered one here, and then this pyramid, whatever this is down here, that is cut at a slant, perfectly identical to the one at Giza. So that's where these alignments start and end. And I find this incredible. And one thing I am also going to notice, or I noticed down here at Giza, and this is intentional, these lines from all these pyramids coming up from the south, these uncovered pyramids, they fall over Giza in kind of this fashion. And you notice these two lines here are closer together, and then this one is further apart. And this matches the exact layout of the pyramids. These two are closer together, and then this one is farther down. So, based on the pyramids to the south, all three of these at different locations, the Giza pyramids are based on the Giza Plateau in perfect relation to this line, based on where they fall at Abu Rawash. So that is just highly fascinating. Now, going back to that Tour Egypt site, here is a diagram of what this place looks like. It's not a square pyramid. It's longer, and they say these were added. And this is perfectly enclosed by a wall, totally enclosed. If this is an unfinished pyramid, would they have enclosed it with a wall? Would they have put features in here, such as the burial chambers? 132 of them. Would they have? This isn't an unfinished pyramid. This is a temple that we really don't know what the purpose of it totally is yet. And it is very, very ancient. And what you notice here is north. It's not perfectly aligned. And what I noticed on Google Earth, this huge enclosure is not perfectly aligned, but these seem to be aligned together. And that really caught my eye, because up at Giza, I just want to show you something. Here we are up at Giza, and let's just zoom in on this strange, really is an undocumented original pyramid, I believe, just because it has a causeway and other features. And let's just look at that pick again. Slanted, cut into the rock, with clearly an addition added to the top of it. Let's go back to Google Earth. This, you notice, this is not aligned perfectly north-south. This is at an angle. And this is identical to the pyramids down at Saqqara, the angle those are on. This unfinished pyramid in the Great Enclosure, they are at the same angle, and these places are extremely ancient. Now, were these later pyramids of Djedefre and these unfinished pyramids that could be observatories? I mentioned the realignment. Were those pyramids at Saqqara and this one aligned at one time, and then something happened around 9600 BC that really geological studies have proven threw the axis of the Earth off a little? Were these original structures aligned at one time, and then whoever built these came back, built some more structures to realign themselves? This is the most ancient sacred place in Giza. I think this is an original structure. And let me just show you one other thing here. The pyramid down at Saqqara, if you line that up with the pyramid of Djedefre, and 1st, 2nd, 3rd dynasty people were building up at Abu Rawash because that was a sacred necropolis, because some pre-existing structures. This is the shaft at the pyramid at Zayat El Aryan. This little tiny area here, if you line up the pyramid at Saqqara with the pyramid of Djedefre, that huge mystery on top of that hill, it goes right over this little tiny area that the shaft is covered up with trash. Is that a coincidence? No, that is not a coincidence. We have a huge mystery here. Some things might be coming clearer, and other things are just becoming more confusing. Now you notice the shaft here at Zayat El Aryan, the covered up pyramid appears to be slightly off at an angle. And if you go up to Giza, and this strange, it is attributed to a queen, that's off at an angle. Now, this disaster that happened over 11,500 years ago, every indication from experts says that this comet, or whatever hit the Earth, came in from the northwest to southeast angle. Now, what a massive impact. That was truly cataclysmic and put an end to the megafauna and was truly one of the greatest disasters in Earth history. That just happened a little under 12,000 years ago. If this came in from the northeast to the southwest, and I guess volcanic rock, when that hardens, it always points to true north, and this was off just by a little bit, and this disaster is pinpointed to a little under 12,000 years ago, or maybe the one that happened about 12,800 years ago. Is that what it took to throw this alignment off just this much? That is a great question to ask. I hope you enjoyed this video. That pyramid down Saqqara is one of the most fascinating I've ever seen and read about. You all have a very nice day.